Hello, thank you so much for joining this video tutorial. This is lesson 9 UFT data-driven testing for beginners. In this lesson, we will enhance the first script that we created before for data-driven testing. So in lesson 7, we created our first script registration with hard-coded data. And today, we will open the same script and identify the hard-coded data and remove them by pointing to the data source so that we can run the same script as many times as we like with the different sets of test data. Today's lesson is divided into 5 parts. First part is to open the action that need to be enhanced. Part 2, prepare the test data. Part 3, parameterize. Part 4, run the test. Part 5, analyze the test result. So here part 3, parameterize the test, simply meaning that replace the hard-coded values with by pointing to the data source. Now, for the part 1, open the marker register action. The question is, why do we need to enhance that action? So I have a small table here. So what we did, this registration test consists of these 3 user actions: open marketing, marketing register, and exit marketing. And open marketing actions is to simply launch the application in a browser. So we don't need test data, so I said no. For marketing register, we need test data, so I said yes. Exit marketing action, it just what it does, simply click sign off link and close the browser, so we don't need test data for that. That is the reason we'll be just enhancing this, and rest of the actions can leave it as is. So let us open the marketing register action. So if I go to UFT, you can see if I zoom it, you can see that solution is already open, and that's my marketing register test, and that is the action that we need to enhance today. So we need to open this action. We did open, but actually open this in a keyword view, select view, keyword view. So we have the steps. We can see the scripts in a different format. So we have done the first part. Second part says, prepare the test data. Okay. So again, actually I skip one thing here. If I go back to my design, what we are working on right now, this piece, UFT data table. So we created the script with hard-coded data. As of right now, script itself has the data. And we also recorded the script, so then we have the recorded objects, which are the expected objects, are stored here. And now we will be removing the hard-coded data, and by pointing to the data source that we'll be preparing today as well. So let's do the part 2, prepare the test data. So what I have to do now is that in order to prepare the test data, you can see we have a data pane right here, open. So if you don't see it, you can simply go to view and click data. So once I am in the data pane, what do I do next? I need to identify the steps that needs test data. You can see we're dealing with 3 steps. One is the username, and then password, and confirm password. So we like to have 3 columns. Because password and confirm password same, we can just add 1 column password for both. So I'm going to double click column header here and give a name, username. Click OK. As you can see, username is added. Double click column header B again, and then give it a name, password. So we have username and password. We have three fields in the script: username, password, confirm. Because password, confirm, password both can share the same password column, so that's why we have just one. If you like, you can also add another column called confirm password. That's totally fine. So let's add some data here. Username AA, password AA as well. Username BB, password BB here. So let's save it. So what I did, simply create a data source. That's my UFT data table. In the UFT data table, I have a global sheet. And in the global sheet, I just added two columns of data, username and password. Now, what I did here, if I go back here, so I just build this piece, UFT data table with that test data. I'm done with the part 2. What about part 3? Parameterize. That means that replace the hard-coded data by pointing to the data source. So again, I'm going to update this script and then say and instruct the UFT to use test data from data source instead of using test data within the script. So how would I do that? Again, first, let me zoom it. That's my username step. Click this cell and then click this data table. This is username step, so I'm going to double click username. And then if I expand it, you will notice that I no longer have the hard-coded data. Instead, I see a reference. Reference says, go to data table, go to global sheet, and the username column. Let's do the exact same thing. Click here, click this, data table, and then click password. Double click it. You can see it also doing the exact same thing. It's just going to the, now we pointed to the password column in the data table. Now do the exact same thing like password. Confirm password, password, both need password field, data from password column. So double click that. So what we did, we parameterized. That means that we remove the hard-coded data and point the script to the data table. So during runtime, we retrieve the data from this data table. So done with the part 3. Part 4 is to run the test. So before we run the test, I have one small diagram here just to understand what happens during runtime. We have 3 actions, as I mentioned. Action 1, Mercury register, open Mercury, Mercury register, and exit Mercury. If I double click it, as you can see, this is the order of the execution. Open, register, exit. Open, register, exit, same order I will see it in this diagram. Open, you can see open, register, and exit Mercury. Open Mercury job is to open the application. It will open, and then Mercury register will complete the registration using the first data set, and then exit Mercury will exit the application. Click sign off, exit. Once it's done, iteration 1 is done, and for iteration 2, open Mercury again will launch the browser, navigate to the application, complete the registration using the second data set. Finally, exit browser, exit Mercury will click sign off and then exit the application, close the browser. So that would be the flow up during runtime. So now that we understand, let us just run it. So in other words, this script right now enhanced to run 2 iterations. First iteration, it will use the data from the first data set. Second iteration, it will complete the registration using the second data set. Now save it and click run. Hope it will work. Okay, iteration 1 is done. Now iteration 2. Iteration 2 is also done. It worked just fine. So let me go back to my outline. What happened? What we did so far? Part 4, which is done. Now let us do the analysis, part 5. Again, this is data-driven tutorial, so I am interested mainly in the test data. So to do that, you can see that we have 2 sets of data, and that's why in the test result shows one iteration for one data set, second iteration for second data set. So let us expand this again. Open Mercury, there is no data involved. Exit Mercury, no data involved. Let us just see the exit Mercury only. So expand this, and username, you can see it did enter a username as we have it in the data, test data source. Password all AA, confirm password AA as well. So that's my iteration 1. For iteration 2, let's expand Mercury register. Username, you can see BB. Password, you can see BB. Confirm password, you can see BB here as well. So what we see right now is that first iteration it completed the registration using the test data from the first data set, using the test date, during first iteration, it completed the registration using the data from the first data set, and that's during second iteration, it completed the registration using the data from the second data set. So before I finish it, I just want to recap again what we did today. We built this piece, data table, and we modified our script. And how we modified it, simply removed the hard-coded data and pointed to the UFT data table. So this, you can see test data and the script are separate. When it's separate, one person can work in this data layer, another person can work on the script layer. So it just helps us to work as a team. So this is it for today. In the next lesson, what we will be doing, let me move this. Next lesson will be lesson number 10. In the lesson 10, we'll be doing exact same thing for the second script. We will prepare a test data, and then we'll update the script by removing the data, and then point the script back to data table for data-driven testing. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope to see you in the next lesson. Take care.